Massimo Bottura is the chef patron of Osteria Francesca and founder of Food for Soul. Or I could just literally call him a game changer.
My name is Massimo Bottura, and my restaurant is Osteria Francescana in Modena. I'm an Italian chef, and in April '95, I opened a small restaurant with big dreams in my hometown of Modena. 22 years later, I can say I'm still dreaming impossible dreams. But I have never dreamed I would be invited to speak at the Forum for Future of Agriculture or the G7 or be an honor of President Obama. If you think about 20 years ago, how often did you see a chef on stage or even holding a microphone? Chefs rarely left their restaurants to talk with public or even policymakers and activists. Today, we, chefs, have a voice. And now it's time to use it. Let's go back to 2015 at the Expo Milan. The theme was Feed the Planet, Energy for Life. Every country called their best chefs to cook and represent them, but no one was asking for their opinion or ideas. They want us just to show and interpret their product, you know? As an Italian chef, Milano Expo was an opportunity to do something more than just cook a good meal. So, what did we do? We decided to feed the planet in our own way. Numbers are numbers. We produce food for 11 billion people. Every year, 33% of the production goes to waste. And almost 1 billion people are undernourished in the world. We saw Expo as an opportunity to raise awareness about food waste and food insecurity. We saw an opportunity to raise and to create a community through cooking, to feed those in need, the homeless, the working poor, to show that chefs are more than the sum of their recipes. And so, we create a soup kitchen inside an abandoned theater in a neglected neighborhood of Milan. And we call it Refettorio Ambrosiano. Refettorio comes from the word reficere, to remake, to restore. A refettorio nourishes the body and the soul. A refettorio is a place where you are invited to share a meal. Through the experience, we discover 3 key values of the project: quality of ideas, power of beauty, value of hospitality. Every morning, a truck arrives with food waste from Expo, inevitable. 65 of the best chefs in the world join us and turn 15 tons of food waste into more than 10,000 healthy meals over 6 months. They made soups, meatballs, tons of ice cream with everything they found in our refrigerator, everywhere, unloading the truck, as well as with scraps, peels, leaves that are usually thrown away. They set an example for the next generation. By working with chefs, we were able to pass on knowledge, to share recipes, and to reduce food waste. Outside the refettorio, there is a neon signed by the artist Maurizio Nannucci, made unique communal, and that neon says, "No more excuses." 5 artists donated artwork. 13 designers made a unique communal table, better than Leonardo da Vinci 500 years ago. At the Refettorio Ambrosiano, we created a beautiful space for everyone, because ethic and aesthetic go hand in hand. Beauty is what nourishes the soul. Beauty is an individual and indivisible good and universal language. Beauty is for our guest, volunteer, chef, and the whole community. Because people cannot live by bread alone. I'm a chef, and during the past 30 years of being restaurant owner, I've learned that 50% of the success of a good meal is credit to the dining room. When we created the first refettorio, we knew that hospitality had to be just as important as the kitchen. Because it's not only about serving a meal, but it's how you do it. 100 volunteers wash dishes, mop the floor, welcome our guests every single day. They had a chance to know them by name. They served them dishes at the table. Guests paid attention to the food they were eating. They had an opinion about that. And they want to share it with us. They became food critics. We created dialogue and learned that sharing a meal is a gesture of inclusion. To be perfectly honest, Milan was an experiment. We had no idea what we were doing. We had never worked in a soup kitchen. All we could do is apply what we have to learn over the years at the Osteria Francescana about the quality of the ideas, about the power of beauty, about the value of hospitalities. We saw the potential to replicate the model in other countries around the world. That is when me and my wife Lara decided to found Food for Soul. Food for Soul is not a charity project. Food for Soul is a cultural project. But, you know, do we really need more soup kitchen in the world? We need more places that united people at the table. We need more places that revive neighborhoods. We need more places that restore the dignity. We need to change the way we think about ingredients, nourishment, and people. So, we flew in Rio de Janeiro, and we opened in Lapa, the Refettorio Gastromotiva. And then it came London, and Modena, and Bologna. But London is a city full of diversity, of food, of culture, of people, but it's also a city full of challenges and inequalities. Food waste is rampant, and there are growing concerns about food poverty and social isolation. On June 5, 2015, we opened Refettorio Felix in London, because we felt that now, more than ever, we need social projects that embrace inclusiveness, acceptance, and solidarity. At the time when people are building walls, we are breaking walls. And Paris. 2 weeks ago, on Thursday, 15th of March, we launched our last project in the crypt of the Church of La Madeleine. one of the historical symbols of the city of Paris. We open Refectorio Paris. The ingredients are still the same. Quality of the ideas, value of beauty, power of hospitality. A team of artists, architects, and designers, led by JR and his wife, Prune Honoré, gave new life at the space that was almost abandoned. As Camus said, beauty can't make the revolution, but one day, revolution will need beauty. And this is a revolutionary project. Chefs from Paris, France, and all over the world will cook from food surplus. On the day of the opening, two of the greatest names of French cuisine cooked together. Alain Ducasse and Yannick Allenot. I couldn't believe it. It was revolutionary. Our volunteers welcome women, men, family in need, immigrants, and refugees. People of any race and religion, and we open our arms and we welcome them. And it felt like a single family, dining around the same big table. Milano, Rio, Bologna, Modena, London, Paris, Naples next. What do we do all, what they have in common? The doors of this community kitchen are open. That's what they have in common. They are serving lunches and dinner. They are welcoming individuals and families. They are engaging chefs and volunteers. Each refectorio has become a central part of his community. Every kitchen staff has accumulated recipes and knowledge to turn brown bananas, stale bread, overripe tomatoes into nutritious meals. Volunteers have taken over the dining room. They don't need us anymore. We learned that Food for Soul can really empower communities in the fight against food waste and social isolation in every community around the world. The point is that it's not just about us. Anyone can play a role and make the difference. A chef, a student, an artisan, a politician, a farmer. We all have a voice to make the change happen. We can all speak up and, more important, act. Stop talking. Start acting. Anywhere, at any condition. The more we are around the table, the louder we will be. Because food is a powerful tool for change. Thank you.
Thank you. Come this way. Massimo, you equate cooking with love.
Yeah, there was a journalist in Paris the other day that she was very aggressive, and she couldn't believe we were there with no other meaning than cooking for people like that, because people always do something for something, you know? I didn't grow up like that, you know? I answer with a very simple question. My grandmother taught me that cooking is not business. Cooking is an act of love. That's it. She didn't talk anymore. She was just shut up.
When was the last time you made a food waste meal? Talk us through what you cooked.
Is it very important?
I think it's just helpful for those of us who throw things away or if we see
All right.
a sell-by date and we think, oh, we're not going to buy that.
There's a very important moment.
You tell me if it's important.
No, it's a very important moment during Milan. I remember, you know, a lot of these chefs, they are like the most important chefs in the world, they were coming and they were like looking inside themselves and cook something that was very emotional from their youthness. And one of the guests came to me and he said, "Chef, stop serving soups. We need some pasta." And I said, "Okay, I promise you, tomorrow we're gonna cook some pasta for you. And it's gonna be very nutrition and very good. And very big plate, you know, pasta." And I had in mind to cook some Italian classic pesto with basil and, you know. But the day after, I was in a refrigerator, and a good part of the basil was used the day before by the other chef, and I didn't have enough basil. So I put together, asking myself on my mental palate what I could do with, and I could match with basil. And there was thyme and mint, and it was summer. And I said, mint can match very well with basil in the summer. And I started making pesto with basil, and I'm calling pesto, but it's just a sauce, no? With herbs. And matching basil, mint, and thyme. At the point I had to add some pine nuts. We didn't have any pine nuts. And I didn't want to go and buy pine nuts. They're so expensive, these Chinese pine nuts. And so I said, I'm doing something very revolutionary. And I'm trying to use some breadcrumbs. So I put breadcrumbs inside the pesto. And instead of doing by hand, I put in a machine, and I create a sauce that it was very creamy, adding very cold water for the oxidation of the herbs. Then a little bit of Parmigiano and a little bit of olive oil, and it came out the most amazing pesto we ever did. And now, in Osteria, when we have the staff meal, the guys, my staff, they want to make pesto like that and not like traditional style.
Massimo pesto.
Not is Massimo pesto. Pesto of everything. Because I think everything is a very important word. I have a passion that is contemporary art. And there was a very important artist called Alighiero Boetti, who created an amazing, work of art called Il Tutto, means everything. And he put everything inside, on the surface of the canvas. Everything is a very important tool if you have knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, it could be just a mess. But if you have knowledge to manage this amazing word, you can really create something special.
I know that there are pictures of your community kitchens, and I'm going to ask the tech team, I would like to show the audience some of them, because to see the community kitchens is to see some of your most extraordinary work. So just need a second or two just to look, because this is more than just...
Yeah, this is Milan. And
it's about the look, the beauty,
yeah,
the
you
ambience.
enter in, and you pass through a Mimo Palladino door with all the bassorilievi, like classic Italian style, with all the symbolism of bread, of fish, of farmers, fishermen, cheesemakers. This was very important. This is no more excuses. Stop talking, just act, and give the example. And this is part of the most amazing chef. This is Michel Troisgros that was cooking 1 week ago in Paris. In the same night, I was cooking in Milan, and we were chatting each other. So, Michel, what are you cooking? I'm making lasagna. I have a lot of artichokes here. So I'm cleaning artichokes and make lasagna with artichokes, and
Is that all food waste? That's all food waste?
All food waste.
Did you get it? Do you get it out of the trash?
The people, this morning, they asked me one question that was very important.
What's that?
Do we have to change the name or the perception? Yes. On my book, I wrote ordinary ingredients. This is not waste. These are just ordinary ingredients. It's the people, they don't know. If you have an overripe tomato, these are the volunteers. And, or like some breadcrumbs, you just have to ask to the ingredients the right question.
Ask the ingredients the right question?
Yes.
So you talk to the ingredients?
Yes, of course.
I'm cooking all wrong.
I think you don't know maybe how to, manage the things, If you have an overripe tomato or you have just a green tomato, are they the same thing?
No.
Of course. So you have to talk with them. So what I can do with you, what I can do with you. If you have the bread that is just baked, the bread that has 1 day, the bag that has bread that has 2 days, or is 5 days old, what do? You just talk and you just understand what you can do with that. The first one, you serve at the table. The second one, you can make bruschetta, panzanelle. I was invited at Jimmy Kimmel, like the show in the United States.
It's a late-night talk show in the United States, if you're not familiar with it.
And, he challenged me going inside the room where all these ghostwriters, they were writing every day. And it was really a nightmare, hell of food, And, I just, with my knowledge, I just give order to everything, make sense. I got the bagels, the leftover bagels, toasted and infused with some leftover pomegranate juice, touched with a little bit of balsamic vinegar to give a little bit of acidity to the salad that I brought that was there with some herbs, in which you had cilantro. There was a lot of cilantro because in Los Angeles they have a lot of influence by Mexican food. There was avocado open. So I cut the avocado in little pieces, and I put together this toasted bagel infused with pomegranate and tomato, the avocado and cilantro, fresh herbs, and I created panzanella like my grandmother was making, Mexican style. And they loved it. And it's just a way to put order in things, and, not to be demanding. But if you have a bread that is 5 days old, you cannot use that. It's too hard. So you grate it, you make breadcrumbs, and you can create the most amazing breadcrumbs noodle. They are the favorite meal for my son and my daughter. So you just have to add some Parmigiano Reggiano, a little bit of couple of eggs, a little bit of nutmeg, and you make the dough and you squeeze it into a chicken broth. That's amazing.
Easy.
Very easy.
This picture that people are looking at, this is not charity. You don't call this charity.
No, these guys are in charge for charity. This is Carlo. He was an alcoholic, and he didn't know what to do with his life. He came and he subscribed as a volunteer, and from day one, I saw him very motivated and organized. I wrote to his badge, Capo Sala, means you're in charge of the room. Mm-hmm. And since day one, he organized the room. As, there are, in Rio de Janeiro, outside I've seen Brazil, Have you ever been in Brazil? Mm-hmm. I opened a soup kitchen in Brazil. No one Brazilian company gave us 1 penny, to help. Just Italian company financed that project, and we built from zero to, in the most problematic neighborhood in Brazil, an amazing space, an amazing architecture. All these, Brazilian artists like Vic Muniz or the community of the artists help us. The community of the chefs gave us things. All these politicians, they were talking, talking. There are 2.5 million people in Rio de Janeiro that are living on the street, and they burn 11 trucks full of fruit and vegetables every day because it's less expensive to burn it than distribute to people. But come on.
A question in from the live stream, people watching on live stream.
Crazy.
Thank you for watching. On top of wasting less, should we also be eating much less meat?
That's a different question. That's a different problem. I agree with that, but wasting less is very important, and I think one of the most important recipe that I can give to people is buy seasonal, restore the relation with the farmers, fishermen, cheesemakers, small shop. They're gonna suggest you great things, and they're gonna suggest you seasonal things, biodiversity, and you're gonna eat better, you're gonna waste less, you're gonna dedicate more time to yourself, and it's no more excuses, because if I have time to come here, that yesterday I was in New York and tonight I have to speak with the most important Chinese delegation in Modena, everyone has time to spend some time in the kitchen. So
Massimo, was that a humble brag?
what?
A humble brag. I don't know how you would say that in Italian.
I don't know.
It's look how incredible I am, but in a very downplayed way. Like, if I can do it, you people can do that.
No, but I know, I see why Mr. Obama has to come and organize this, this amazing round table with all the most influential people in the world, and ask a chef to come here and talk. Is the example. Is the example. Is what we do every day. Everyone is interested in something. Someone in food climate change, some other in cooking food waste, some other in rebuild the dignity of the people, some other, like Michelle, recreate in a south of United States community healthy and rebuild this kind of dignity. Everyone can do something. Me or you all.
What's the one thing that everybody leaving this forum today can do that is part of your vision for food and the future and healthy food? What's the one thing?
Well, I think I already said everything,
Yeah?
I was just use a metaphor.
Because you said people talk too much, right?
People, loves to spend time, and talk. But if you don't talk, there's no transferring of ideas, This is a cultural project, and you are part of this project. If you understand this project, you can talk with people and maybe, move this movement, because it's already there, the community of Montreal, the community of Toronto. We are building now, we are working in a 3,000 bed refugee camp in Thessalonica, in Greece, that is being created with the private money of a donator. We are building a gelateria as Italian style to create ice cream from the amazing fruit and vegetables of Greece for the kids, to give them a smile. Because we learn through this experience that when the family comes and you have kids around, there's a happiness around. So we want to do that, and we are building now. Or there's like the richest man in Mexico, he wants the refectorio in Merida. It's like this, it's already there. The message is already there. The young generation, they understood the project. There's a chef who just wrote me yesterday, who quit his job, is building a soup kitchen like that in Switzerland. Another one in UK. So the message to the most sensitive people is arrived. So that's what you can do. Just spread the words.
Mille grazie.
Grazie a voi. Thank you.
Massimo Bottura.